Ciao ragazzi, this is Katie Portanova, and you're listening to Florence and Me. I'm a lover of stories and all things Italian, and I'm going to bring you all that in this podcast. My intention is to inspire you to step out of your comfort zone and explore life and travel the world. Join me as I tell you my story and many others about Italy and my love, Florence. Andiamo! Ciao all. This is an episode with Giulia. She is located in northern Italy, so the audio sometimes is a little off because we are doing on Zoom. So I hope you enjoy it. Ciao! All right, we are here back with Giulia. Thank you for being available on this probably, I don't know, cold Saturday morning or afternoon in northern Italy.
Yeah, happy to be here as always. Today it's actually quite sunny,
Nice.
which is a nice change because it's been raining for 2 weeks.
Nice. I'm so happy to see your face. Me and Giulia have not spoken, well, face to face in, I don't know, like months.
Yeah, it's been too
It's been
long.
a long time.
It's definitely been too
Yeah,
long.
it's
Yeah.
been a long time. And what's been going on, Giulia? Do you want to tell my audience? I think I told them a little bit.
Oh, sure. Well, my side, I actually got pregnant,
Yay.
so starting a family, and that's partly why we haven't really spoken.
Uh-huh.
Navigating Italian hospitals has been interesting. It's been a little bit
Oh,
difficult.
that can be
Um,
another episode for people that
oh,
maybe
oh,
need to go to the
anyone's
hospital as a
interested.
traveler, or maybe, not that I don't think any of this happens, but it could, like people that on accident give birth in Italy. Who
Apparently
knows?
that does happen. So if there's anything you need to know,
Yeah.
let Katie know. I'll definitely be able to help out. It's been challenging.
Yeah.
So I haven't been able to focus on my own stuff, on the urban yoke stuff
Uh-huh.
as much because, well, yeah, I've just
Yeah.
been so busy
I've been busy. You're
and
growing a baby.
and kind of coming to terms with the idea of maternity leave.
Uh,
I don't think I don't think I'm like quite there yet.
yeah.
Being like forced to take off like 3 months of work,
Mm,
but we'll see how that goes.
yeah. No, and that's another interesting topic for us in the future to talk about what the difference is between maternity leave outside of Italy and inside of Italy. Because usually, I
Oh,
think,
definitely.
regarding at least for the States, like we do not have as much maternity leave as Italians do. So very interesting. Yeah.
That's true. We should definitely talk about the differences in a
Mm-hmm.
in a different episode
Yeah.
because I think much like today's topic,
Yeah.
it might not seem like it,
Yeah.
but there's quite a few differences and expectations.
Sure.
And coming from South Africa,
Uh-huh.
I'm like I don't even know how the system works, and I find it very confusing,
Yeah.
and I just hate it.
No, exactly. Yeah. So today, I asked Giulia to come back on because we had so many ideas back when we last spoke, and then I forgot them all. So, and then life has happened, as she has said.
Hmm.
I was just on another podcast last night. That was really cool.
Oh,
I was
oh,
on,
really?
yeah, it was a really short podcast because it was like six of us. And I found her on this Facebook group called like Be a Guest or whatever, Need a Guest, whatever, for our podcast. And it was called Follow Me Friday. And it was basically she allows you to just like, she asks a couple questions and you got 20-25 minutes to just talk about your business and talk about how you got to where you are. And it was kind of cool because I got to learn about there's a bunch of really diverse people on this call. So I've been doing a lot of podcasts. Giulia, I don't know if you know, but I'm like a podcast, like I'm
No.
searching for podcasts. Like, so I'm searching for podcasts to have me on to talk about the brilliance of like traveling abroad, living abroad, and just stepping out of your comfort zone. So I was on the Clopen Effect again. I put those links in the last episode I just recorded. I did 2 parts because we talked about like everything. And I don't know if you listen to those episodes, but they are hilarious women. Oh my God. So anyway, so yeah, so I've been busy. Julia's been busy. So the thing we thought about the most as what to discuss today, and also to give some tips to new travelers or veteran travelers to Italy, is how to do restaurants basically in Italy. What is the etiquette? What is the expectation? How do we dress? XYZ. Okay, so Giulia, what do you think is the first thing we should talk about when it comes to going to a Italian restaurant in Italy?
I think the very first thing that comes to mind is the expectation of service.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
because everywhere is a little bit different. But if you're going to an everyday restaurant like a trattoria, where
Mm-hmm.
they kind of have the set menu for the week, sort of thing,
Mm-hmm.
don't expect the kind of service you get in countries where you actually give people tips,
Mm-hmm.
because they just they just don't serve you
Yeah.
in that way. Sometimes you have to fetch your own glass because they forgot.
Yeah.
Like, it's normal, right? I mean, obviously, if you're going to a slightly fancy restaurant, um, then you will get a lot better service. But the service in general,
Mm-hmm.
you're not gonna just get it. And don't
Mm-hmm.
expect the waiter to come to the table and check how you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
If you need something, you're gonna have to flag them down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're like, hey, I need
That,
stuff. You have to be very
that,
vocal about your
yeah.
needs.
That was like one of the things I remember when I studied abroad. Like we as students, like we're like, why aren't they coming to the table? Like, why aren't they bringing us more water? Why aren't they like asking for okay? And it was really an interesting concept. And then when it was explained to me by an Italian, they're like, we don't want to bother you. Like, they don't want to bother you. Like,
Yeah,
enjoy your meal. If you need something, like, they will come to you. If they see that your plate is empty, they will come to you and say, okay, do you want dessert? Or do you want another glass of wine? Like, they will come to you. So it was very interesting because then I started to relax, like, because after living abroad, both the million times that I've been back and forth, um, I would come back to the States and be in my hometown, and I'm like, why are they trying to kick us out of the restaurant? Like, that's what I always felt like. I'm like, well, you just let us be. Like, leave us. How are you doing? What? Anything else? Do you need anything else? Okay, because in the States, and I'm not sure in South Africa if it's like that, but they work for their tips, so they get shit pay
yeah,
per hour. But in Italy, they get an actual salary, an actual like monthly pay. So they're not working for
yeah.
their tips as other countries have that, in their infrastructure of like restaurant work. So that was a big thing for me. I remember specifically that. The other thing I was trying to think as you were saying, there was something that came to mind. Oh God, what was it? Um, I guess we'll go right into tipping, I guess, because that kind of goes hand in hand, right? With the fact that service, because in the States, I don't know.
It's
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking, because in South Africa, it's also tips based, right?
Yeah.
Whether you're a bartender or
Yeah.
waitress, waiter, you're working for tips. And what I've noticed in that environment is, like, people expect you to sit down for a meal, maybe like 2 hours.
Uh-huh.
And then they're like, okay, you need to like free up the table because I need to get as many tips as possible.
Sure.
Whereas in Italy, you can sit there for 5 hours,
Yeah.
because they don't do the tipping. So it's actually really, I think people actually find it kind of rude when you
Uh-huh.
leave a tip in Italy.
Yeah.
It's not something that
Yeah.
is common practice at
Stefano
all.
is here.
Chi
He's
si rivede?
Did you read it? Oh yeah, tutto gonfia.
She's having a baby. It's okay that she's we can't even see that, so it doesn't matter. So
Oh,
listeners, my husband
facile.
just walked into the view, so that's why
Sorry.
we're
Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
I'm
Oh,
recording.
I'm sorry.
Yes, he doesn't remember. It's all right. Well, bad, I'm on it. Okay.
A family affair.
It's okay. So tipping, sorry. Yes. So what I was told, and I think I don't know if we talked about this before. I'm having deja vu, but with tipping in Italy, they don't expect you to leave a huge tip like in the States, because usually, at least this is what I'm looking at Chat GPT. Those of you, I told this to Julia before we got on the call. But Chat GPT says that there's a service charge or servizio that is often included in the bill, and it's still customary to leave, but it's still customary to leave a small tip, rounding up the bill. So I would always think like I would leave, at least Stefano, when we would go out, he would just like leave him a couple euro, €5, whatever, depending on the bill. But it's not like you have to leave like a big tip, like a €20 or €50, depending on, I guess, depending on what kind of restaurant you're at. Maybe. I don't know. What's your thoughts?
I think so. My experience has definitely been a little bit different, where at least up in the north, they don't like it when you leave tips.
Oh, they
Even
don't.
just to round,
Do they feel
no, even
offended?
just to round up the bill. I think so. I think they get a little bit annoyed, even confused.
Yeah.
Like,
That's interesting because even when we went, it was, I think it was 2021, 2021, no, 2022. We left from Rome. I think this was one of the times we left from Rome. And we went to a restaurant the night before we left. And Stefano's like, I just want to round up the bill. I want to give them a tip. And like, when she went up to the guy to, to pay, and they're like, okay, I think it was like €80 for the both of us. And like, Stefano's like, I want to pay 85. And he's like, no, you can't. And someone's like, yeah, I can. Like, but he wanted to put it on the credit card. So like the guy was so confused. He's like, why do you want to do that? Like, he actually asked him, like, what are you doing? Like, your bill is 80. Why are you paying 85? And he's like, because it was good service and we liked it. And he's like, oh my God. And the guy's face completely changed. He's like, oh, grazie. Like, it was €5 that we gave him extra, but it was like as if we gave him like, I don't know, like more money than like, I don't know, anything. Like, he was like so grateful. And yeah, Italians don't expect it. And that was Rome. So like in the north, maybe, yeah, it's even more like, what are you doing? Like, that's not the bill. Do you know how to calculate? Like,
exactly. It's super weird because we're close to the Swiss border,
yeah.
and in Switzerland it's pretty common to round up the bill as well.
Okay.
You don't really, it's not necessary to leave a tip,
Yeah.
but people obviously prefer to just round it up.
Yeah.
And see when they come and visit this side and they try and do that, and the people stand at the bar, they're like, dude, I don't know what you want from me, but that's not what it costs.
Yeah.
So
I know. It's so funny. So like, I mean, I think the best thing, if you are an American or a non-Italian speaker and you are traveling northern Italy, southern Italy, middle, central Italy, if you want to leave a tip, just leave it after you paid on the table.
yeah.
So you don't have this discussion of like, what the fuck are you doing? Like why are you leaving €10, €15,
Exactly.
whatever it is? Okay, so then let's move on to the cover charges, where the cover charge is usually pane e coperto is written on the bill. And usually
Yeah.
I remember seeing this and going, what the hell? I know pane means bread, but coperto, I never understood what that meant. Because I was
The
like,
cover charge,
wait, is that
basically.
the tip? Like, I was always thinking, is that the tip? Like, when we were students, like I was 20, 21 years old, I was like, oh, what does that mean? Like, what is, and we never really asked because of course we didn't speak Italian. But Giulia, go ahead, and what are your thoughts on that?
So coperto, it's actually something we have in South Africa as well, where it's basically a table service charge.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're gonna
Yeah.
sit down and you're gonna eat, you're gonna see that on the bill, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's like €2, maybe five at most.
Yeah.
And it's because you've sat down and someone has to serve you at your table.
Yeah.
So in a way, it's a tip, but it's also
Yeah.
just to cover that extra time the person spent serving you.
Uh-huh.
So it really is like a cover charge. In South Africa, we only use it for large groups. So if you're like 10 people, then they'll add it to the bill.
Yeah.
But yeah, in Italy, it can be anything. If you want to sit down for a coffee,
Mm-hmm.
at a bar, you could play it like €4 just for a coffee. When if you just
Yeah.
stood at the bar, it's like €1
Oh yeah,
because
that's for sure. Because I remember even in like the big piazzas in Florence, I'm just gonna stick with the places I know, and also in Rome, I'm sure. But like the piazzas, like Piazza Navona, Piazza Repubblica, Piazza Signoria, if you sit at
mm,
a table for just a cup of coffee or a cappuccino and a brioche or something, like you expect to pay a lot more than if you stood at the bar. And I think I went over this a few episodes ago, but like yeah, so you will see that cover charge go up when you were like, "Oh, I looked at the the prices at the bar and it was completely different." Like, well, it's because you sat down and used the tablecloths. Like, like that's why.
exactly.
That's why. Like, so yeah, and I took it as once I understood it more, it was like, yeah, tablecloths, napkins, the silverware, like everything that has to be cleaned when they change it over to another table. That's what I got. So that's just to be aware of. Like, you can't get out of it. Just deal with it. Like, that's why there's always bread at the table at most places. If you're not eating pasta in a way that you need bread, I don't know if it's different in the north, but I noticed that like when we were in Italy just in September, I think there was some restaurant we ordered something and there was no bread. Not like I asked for it because I don't want any more bread than I need, but they, depends on the dish that you order, they'll bring bread to you. So it's not always like
Yeah.
at like an Olive Garden, like where it's like breadsticks all around, like all the time. Like it's gonna keep coming. They're not gonna do that for sure. Um okay,
That's great.
let's let's move into meal times. Now this is something that
Oh my
always
gosh.
screws people up when they travel to Italy because they expect they're going to be able to get into a restaurant at 11 a.m.
Oh,
when
that's
at
like
least Americans.
no.
I don't know about South Africans, but or anybody else in the world, but Americans are like, oh my god, I'm starving. I've been up since 7. Like I've been
I
to
want to
all the
eat.
museums and I'm starving. Um,
Mm,
so
yeah, that's not happening.
it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. If you had breakfast at 7, well, actually, you're probably not gonna have breakfast until like 8 a.m. at most hotels in Italy because that's 7 a.m. is kind of early, but maybe they do. But yeah, I think the best bet. Let's go through the day because I'm gonna say okay. So let's say you're at a hotel, you go have breakfast. They're like continental breakfast. I don't know if you can hear my cat whining, Julia.
No.
Okay, good. Because it's like, I think it's Maggie. It's like when she holds onto one of her mouses, it's like she's saying, mine, 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 or something. I don't know. So funny.
That's adorable.
Only cat people understand that. Segueing back, sorry. So if you don't have a hotel, if you're not in a hotel, the best bet to get a colazione breakfast is to find a bar cafe that's nearby your apartment, your B&B. If your B&B doesn't have, your B&B should have breakfast, right? But some probably just have like not really good stuff. So maybe you want a really nice brioche with chocolate inside or crema or something. The
Mm,
best bet, I know
pistachio.
now I'm like starving. So the best bet is to go to a bar or cafe that's nearby. And the way you know where to go is that you hear the clink clank, clink clank, clink clank of all the cups when you walk out of your apartment. Right, Julia?
Hmm.
Like
Yeah,
that's how you
that's
know you're
pretty
in the
much
right
it.
spot.
Follow the smell of coffee,
Follow the smell of
and hope you'll
coffee.
get there.
Yeah, and you might even follow the smell of the pastries. I don't know. That kind of goes
Exactly.
out into the streets as well. Um so yeah, I don't know. In northern Italy, is it the same? Like, I mean, obviously you're in a really small town. Like, there's got to be cafes around, right? If you don't have a
Oh, definitely.
mm-hmm.
Like there's you definitely want to go to the cafes
Mm-hmm.
and what they call bar in
Mm-hmm.
Italy and just enjoy what they do have. So you'll find places that mostly have brioche. It will generally be something sweet.
Mm-hmm.
You will rarely find something salty. So
Yeah,
prepare yourself
for sweet.
for that. Because if you want to for wake up and you want something salty, like a good, English style breakfast,
Yeah.
yeah, that's probably not going to happen in
No.
Italy.
No.
And if you're just outside of the zone of like breakfast time, but it's not quite lunchtime, you know, that like brunch sort of
Yeah.
section, because brunch
Yeah.
is not a thing. Your best bet is to go somewhere where they make sandwiches, because
Yes.
you'll probably be
It's a
able to
good.
find a sandwich.
Yeah.
But other than that,
Mm-hmm.
before 12 o'clock, you're not finding sit down food. Like
Yeah.
that's just not happening. And even for breakfast, it's kind of you stand at the bar,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you stand at the counter and you have your coffee and your brioche and then you leave.
Yeah.
They don't really do the sit down,
No.
enjoy breakfast
No.
after walking.
Yeah, no. And I think like that's why a lot of the cafes that do have seating outside or inside, especially around a big piazza, it's so expensive because they know
Yeah.
that people that aren't used to walking, not used to doing a lot, during the day, they're gonna want to sit down. So that is
Yes.
something to be aware of. If you are not physically able, or like you don't walk, 5 miles a day or whatever, you're not like constantly moving in that way, you have to be aware that you are going to spend a lot more money like when you go to these cafes and you want to sit down. Like that's why I remember being a student, because we already knew that. Like we're like, no, we're not sitting down, we're going to get like a slice of pizza. Like that was where I was going next. Like go to like a pizza taglio, which is a slice of pizza, get that and go
Yeah.
sit, find some place to sit, like not on the ground, but sit, like find some place in a piazza, a bench or something to sit respectfully in a basically a museum city. Most of the cities in Italy are museums. So like don't be disrespectful, but that is the best
Yeah.
tip I can give all you guys that are going to Italy, because you are going to get tired, you are going to be hot, you are going to be cold, whatever season you're in, and you're going to want to sit down. And if you have any uh, limitations in walking or knees, hips, and anything like that, think about it. Like you're going to pay money for a really crappy sandwich if you go sit at a random cafe. Like, you know what I mean? So that's something to be aware of. So let's move into lunchtime. So lunchtime usually starts
Mm.
noon, but 12:30, even 1. Like maybe southern Italy, I think it's like even later, right? I mean, I haven't been apart from Puglia, like I've not been to like I don't remember what it was like in Sorrento when I was there as a student, but like that is when lunch starts. Like if you're
Yeah.
hungry, you got to go, like I said, like we said, like the Pizza Taglio, to find a panino shop, like a panatteria, like to find a bar that has like really crappy sandwiches. I mean, that's it. Like if you're starving, or a grocery store. That's where I see a lot of like tourists, like in mid morning, like just finding snacks because they're like starving.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. I was gonna actually gonna be one of the things
Yeah.
I suggest is actually just, you know, find a grocery store because you'll also save money
Oh,
and
totally.
get yourself like a trail mix kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you've got food with you until lunchtime.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, it's not like, oh, you know, I had a late breakfast.
Yeah.
I'll actually go have lunch at like 3.
Yeah.
Because 3 they close.
Yeah.
So you've got a very short window to be able to go for lunch as well.
Yes, that's another
Um,
thing. You gotta be on it. Like, I'm not saying that you need
I
to know where you need to go, like for lunch. Maybe have a couple places wherever you're at, on on your radar. Like, okay, I know that's gonna open at 12:30. I'm gonna be the first person there so I can get a table. Because in big in big cities, there's a lot of choices, right? But in smaller
yeah.
cities like Siena, like I'll tell you my story for this one. When I took the group last September to Siena, I had a few restaurants in mind. And I'm like, okay, let's try this one first and see if it's open, or if it's, available, and like everyone likes the menu, whatever. If it's not, then I had a backup, because I don't want to be stuck with a group of people when they're starving. Like, and even when
Exactly.
you're starving, like then you're going to go to just the random place in the piazza that's probably really crappy because it has a tourist menu. And we've talked about this on the podcast. Like when it has like all the languages, you just don't want that. Okay. You don't want to go there. You're going to waste your money.
No.
Then you're going to be like, this town sucks because I went to a sucky restaurant. So be aware of that. Have a couple of options for restaurants for lunch for sure. Then moving on to dinner. Well, moving on to, let's talk about aperitivo, right? Aperitivo is something we've talked about, I think, before. I think we might have, again, having deja vu,
Yeah.
Julia. I think we talked about it before. Aperitivo is between 5, correct me if I'm wrong, 5 to 7, around that,
Yeah.
depending on the region. They might be a little later, might be a little earlier. I don't know. Depending on, I mean, maybe it's earlier in the north, right? Is that true? Like maybe it's like 4? No. Is it 5?
No, it's about the same
Same
time.
time.
5, often 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the aperitivo, and it might be different in the north, so correct me if tell me if that's different, but in Tuscany for sure, um the aperitivo is you buy a drink and basically you can eat as much as you want, right? North?
Yeah.
Is that northern Italy as well?
So in the north they do the same. They seem to be a little less on the aperitivo thing. So I found in Tuscany, especially in Florence, there's some places you could go and have aperitivo and you'll basically have dinner.
It's yeah,
Whereas here it's very small
like
things.
nuts and like veggies or whatever. Like yeah. Like not enough to call it dinner,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Little pizzas.
Yeah.
Not enough to call it dinner. I remember a place, it was a pub, and I cannot for the life of me remember the name of it.
In Florence?
But I remember if you went in Florence,
Oh,
and they used to have this massive
peach.
spread for
Peach.
aperitivo. Yeah,
It's
peach.
gone.
And it was
It's gone.
basically,
It's closed. Yeah, it
really,
closed during the
oh my
pandemic.
goodness.
Yeah, it's a completely
Yeah, that's,
yeah, because there was two different restaurants. Oh, two different no. Was it Kitsch or there was another one on the river. I forget the name of it.
yeah.
Noir. That was a really big one
Yes,
too.
yes,
That you would sit on the bridge and stuff. Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, that one would be dinner. Like, and then we would just go drinking after that. Like, we would by
exactly.
7:30, like 8, we're going to like a pub or something. So yeah, so aperitivo is for people. Let's say you had an early lunch, you had a pizza taglio at like 11 because you're the one that wanted to eat at 11. And now you're starving at like 4 or 5 p.m. So you go find a place with an aperitivo, and that's where you ask your concierge or you ask the Airbnb or the apartment, the B&B, whatever, of local places to go and eat that. And then for dinner, Italians don't start
Mhm.
eating dinner again in the north. Correct me. Let me know if it's different, but it's around 8 p.m. Even 9. 9 is probably even more
Yeah,
correct. So, story, Julia. So, you know that I usually wake up around here when I'm at home in Chicago at 4 a.m. And my friend
yeah.
Cristiano, we were there in September, and he's like, we want to hang out. Um, how about we meet you at this restaurant at 9 p.m.? Like, what? Like, I'm like, I can't do that anymore. And I'm like, can we meet at 8? He's like, oh, no, no, we're still at work. Because Italians work sometimes till 8. So so that was hard. We ended up not meeting because unfortunately he got sick. But I was like praying to God that I'm like 8:30 I can do. Fine. Whatever. But even my mother-in-law, Fernanda, was just like, oh my God, that's really late. Like, and she eats at like 7. So like she's like, I know, I can't eat at 9. But that is when restaurants sometimes are busier. So like if you come in at 7, some restaurants are open at 7. I don't know. In the north, what
Yeah.
is that 7 is like time they open sometimes?
We noticed, like in the villages, we noticed that they will even be open like half past 6. But in Milan,
Mm-hmm.
like city, nothing opens before 7, and sometimes only 7:30.
Yeah, that's like the earliest. So another story, when I was a
Yeah,
student, when we studied abroad and we lived in Fiesole above Florence, we had a hotel there, and there we had every dinner at this one restaurant called Perseus. And
yeah,
we were always the first group of people because they opened it early for us at 7 p.m. And we'd have 3 courses, antipasto, primo, secondo, and then the dessert. And like that's how I gained all the weight because I ate the bread like non-stop and a bunch of wine and stuff. But that is the only way we were able to eat at 7 because Bob, our director, let's say, that was part of our group as a study abroad group, he was an older man. So there's no way in hell that he was going to
mhm,
eat at 9 p.m. So but they made an agreement with the restaurant, and yeah. So going in at 7:30, there's probably gonna be nobody there. They'll seat you, but there's not gonna be anybody there. But then all of a sudden, 8, 9, you maybe if you're there till 10, you'll see it, the whole restaurant wherever you are is full. So that's just to be aware of. Let's talk about water, the differences in water. So
Oh yes.
because water is not free in Italy, you can ask for l'acqua da rubinetto. Is that how we say it? L'acqua da
See,
rubinetto, which is
oh.
means like tap water. But it's probably disgusting. So you might as well just get bottled water, right, Julia?
Yeah, you might as well get bottled water. And they're gonna trick you anyway. They're gonna put bottled water on the table with the bread,
Uh-huh.
and then you'll assume that the water is free,
Yeah,
but
it's not.
then you'll see it
Yeah,
on the bill afterwards. Exactly. It's not free.
it's not free.
And I normally go for sparkling water
Yeah.
in Italy.
Uh-huh.
I think it's really nice.
Uh-huh.
Um, and they'll call it, I've noticed here,
Yeah.
sometimes people call it cassata and
Yeah.
sometimes frizzante.
Oh, so it's
But
they say it
it's not,
differently. Yeah.
they do. So you've got to be careful of how the name changes and just be aware of that.
Yeah.
And if they're going to bring you bottled water, if it's in glass, it's usually nicer
Yeah.
than the
Than the
plastic bottles.
plastic ones. Yeah. No. And I think
It's
that's
an
everywhere,
interesting.
right? That's everywhere. If it's in glass, it's always better. But usually, I mean, I can't remember. I'm not even thinking. Usually all the bottles that we would get, at least in Florence, the bottles were usually glass of water. I feel like if it's
Usually,
usually it is. So yeah, so the two words that they're going to ask you for water, if you ask for acqua, they're going to say naturale or frizzante or gassata. So I think naturale obviously means still water, and frizzante, like you were just saying,
mm,
means with sparkling water or bubbly water or whatever. Um, and you pay for those. Be prepared.
yeah,
You pay for
you pay for them almost
you pay for the
more than you pay
you
for wine.
exactly you pay for the bread, you pay for the water. Yeah. So then let's talk about, let's see, any other things about that, those types of things. So we went from water to meal
Um,
times.
well, I think on the beverage thing,
Mm-hmm.
because we're talking about meal times as well.
Yeah.
So, in Italy, it's not unusual to order wine or something alcoholic, like wine or beer during your lunch break or your
Uh-huh.
lunchtime.
Yeah.
But it'd be very unusual to order a digestive, so like a whiskey or a limoncello at lunchtime versus dinner.
That's good.
And
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think, if you want to, you're on holiday, you do you,
Yeah.
don't worry
Totally.
about their judgment.
Yeah.
But be aware that someone might refuse you because in Italy they do refuse things if they think it's weird.
Yeah.
Like it happens.
Yeah, no, that's a great point because if you are a big drinker and then maybe again you're on holiday, sure, you want a limoncello, you want amaro, what is it called? Not Negromaro, Montenegro. Like those types of like
Yeah,
really hard, like Porto, like a port or something like
like anything
lunch.
harder than a table wine.
Yeah, lunch. I don't think, especially in the summer, I think you're gonna pass out. But dinner, I
Oh,
think it's better. Obviously, my father-in-law would always have a grappa after dinner. Like he would never have it after
yeah.
lunch. But then speaking of wine, like we were like having at a alcohol like a wine at lunch is acceptable. Always ask for the house wine. Now, what I have found,
Always.
I don't know if you've seen a difference since COVID, but like I don't see a lot of restaurants serving wine in the craft, like the in quarto, mezzo litro.
Oh, really?
No, in Tuscany, the last few times we went, they would give us like a bottle. Yeah.
Oh,
So I don't know if
that's
it's
super
something with
interesting.
like, sanitation, like, being healthy, like being like clean or I don't know. But
Hmm.
I don't see that a lot. Cause I would be like Vino de la Haza, and they're like, oh, these are the wines. And then they show me like the bottle. I'm like, what the hell? Why can't I just have a little craft? I don't, has that changed in the
Yeah.
north or no?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Not very much in the
Maybe
north.
I'm just
It's
not
pretty
going to
much,
the right ones. I don't know. But the restaurants we go to all the time, what we used to go to all the time, like they don't do that anymore. So I'm gonna ask next time when we're there for Christmas. I'm gonna ask if that happens. I'd be like, why don't you have the little glass little craft things like that are so cute?
Exactly.
I don't know.
And sometimes what I find in Italy, what you can get away with though, is if someone says to you that they only have bottles,
Yeah,
then if you're just kind of a little bit argumentative and you're like, but what if I don't want a whole bottle?
yeah,
Like, why would I?
yeah,
You know, and
exactly.
then they're kind of like, okay,
Because usually it's
I'll
me.
make an exception.
Yeah, it's me that actually finishes the bottle because Stefano usually is driving. So like it's like, what's the point? Just drinking it by myself. Like, you know? Um
Oh yeah.
yeah. So okay, so wines of it's okay to have it at lunch. Having a digestive, a grappa, limoncello is more acceptable at dinner. But if you are like, screw it, I'm on
Yeah.
vacation, go for it, whatever. Then let's talk about, and not that this is something that I've come across. I don't know about you, Giulia, but like dress code when you go to a restaurant. And I think that's kind of lenient.
For the most part, no.
I think that's lenient for a lot of
Yeah.
tourists because obviously Italians can't expect tourists that normally are walking around in Florence with a fanny pack to look really put together at night. Like, I mean, they could. I mean, like my dad, he's probably going to be still wearing his tennis shoes and, comfy like khaki pants or something.
Yeah.
But for upscale restaurants, obviously, if you're going to a Michelin star restaurant in Florence or in Milan or Venice or something like that, obviously you probably have something that's really nice to wear because I'm definitely not going to those,
Exactly.
but like you probably have those nice things to wear. Then let's just talk briefly about
Agreed.
yeah, sorry. Yes. Briefly about the types of food to not ask for. Now in South Africa, I'm not sure if there's like a dish that South Africans are like, we have this at home, like you should have it here. Why don't you have it here? Do you have one of those?
Um, I think in South Africa, being okay, just to give everyone a little bit of backstory so that you understand where I'm coming from. So South Africa has 11 official languages,
Oh yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
so those are just the official cultures of South Africa. So
Sure.
you even traveling within South Africa, you just don't expect
Yeah.
to have everything around. But one thing that does seem to come up a lot is like fries.
Okay.
We also call them chips.
Sure. Sure.
But in South Africa, we have them a little bit differently. They're bigger. They're not as crispy,
Uh-huh.
and we dress them with vinegar and salt.
Okay. So it's like
So
more
it's a
English.
very
Isn't it
different
English
experience.
too?
It's
Similar
it's very
English, yeah.
Englishy.
Yeah. UK,
Yeah.
type stuff.
And so I do find that that comes up a lot where they're kind of would like to have that.
Mm.
And it's something that Italians really struggle with when you ask for patatine. Like if you're gonna go to a restaurant and have a pizza and then you ask for a side of, fries, most of the time they're gonna look at you like, what, you crazy person,
Yeah.
why would you do that?
Yeah.
And especially in Florence,
Uh-huh.
they're very big on you can order when, right?
Yeah.
You can't just like have a cafe latte with your lunch.
No.
Like you don't drink cafe latte after dinner,
No.
right?
Milk after breakfast is frowned upon, even though people still do it. But you will just not,
People still do it, but it's frowned
it's frowned upon. And it's usually travelers, tourists that do that. So, and my mother is one of those
Yeah,
people. So that has a cappuccino after
but
lunch.
I mean,
I mean, who
I
doesn't? I
also
mean,
don't
it's
really
it's
care.
okay. I'm not shaming anybody who wants to do that or who does that in their normal life. But in Italy, it's not what people do. And again, we're not trying
Yeah,
to fit you into Italians. Nobody's saying that. But just saying that if they give you a strange look, that's why.
that's why exactly. It's
Yeah.
more just
Be
like
aware.
managing your own expectations of
Yeah.
how they're going to react.
Be aware.
And so something I noticed here, a popular pizza
Mm.
is a pizza with fries on it.
Get out of town. That was really popular in Florence, though, too, when I was a student, like 20 years ago. Like, They would like
So
the
crazy.
students that I would be with, these guys would be like, "Oh, we found a place that puts fries on pizza." I'm like, "Why the fuck are you asking for that? Like,
Why would you do that?
why are you ruining a pizza that has mozzarella, prosciutto crudo, speck, mascarpone? Like, why are you ruining it? Like, that's like asking pineapple. Like, I'm sure that's happened too. Put pineapple, because in Italy and in the States, we have pineapples on pizza. Like, it's just like ridiculous. I've of course had it, but I'm like, that's not something I would ask. But that's ridiculous too. The other thing that comes up a lot, and I've heard this because when my friend worked in a restaurant in Piazza Signoria, I would hear her say like, "Okay, this American just asked for Caesar salad again." Like all the Americans, they always ask for Caesar salad. There is no such thing as Caesar dressing. There is no Caesar dressing. There's no Caesar salad in Italy. I need to get all Americans to be aware of that. You will not find croutons. There are no croutons.
Oh my God.
There are
No. You will.
I've heard people ask for that. I've heard people ask for pasta Alfredo, which is that creamy sauce that doesn't exist in Italy. Just because it's at Olive Garden, it doesn't mean it exists in Italy because it's
Yes,
not. And chicken piccata, veal piccata, like all these things that exist at an Italian American restaurant in the States, it does not exist in Italy. So do not say like, "Oh, is this like veal piccata?" Like, and they'll be like, "I don't know what the fuck that is." Like, you know.
and exactly. And on that note, whatever whatever the dish is like in your country,
Uh-huh.
it's probably not going to be like that in Italy.
Yes, good point.
So one thing I also remember is because I know in the States you get a pepperoni pizza, which
Uh-huh.
pepperoni is a type of cold meat, right?
Yes, yes.
That's like sliced.
Yes.
But if you ask for that in Tuscany, especially, you're gonna get peppers.
Yeah,
You're
the
gonna get a pizza
actual
with peppers.
green or red peppers, like your whatever ones they have. So pepperoni is
Exactly.
peppers, people. It's not the sliced
Just
sausage that is, ugh, I hate pepperoni on pizza.
really.
Pepperoni in Italian, I love it. But anyway, no, for
So
sure. Make
that's
sure you know the words that if they translate differently in Italian, you're going to get that. That's not what you expect.
yes. So, and if you're gonna get something like a pizza with like ham and mushrooms on it,
Mm-hmm.
the ham is basically just prosciutto that has been cooked. So
Mm-hmm.
it's got a very different flavor to, like a country ham or like a maple ham or
Well, you could
something.
ask for the two different ones. So prosciutto crudo is when it's cooked. No, cotto is cooked. Crudo is raw,
Cotto.
but it's even better. They're both very good. But prosciutto cotto is it's gonna look more like a ham, but really, really thin on your pizza as well. So
Yes.
okay,
It's a
so
different experience.
let's see if there's anything else that ChatGPT has said about etiquette. Okay, it talks about learning basic phrases. We've talked about that. Coffee, we've talked about that. Time and patience, that's like the thing we first talked about, like taking your time, enjoy the experience, enjoy the meal, don't rush through it. We talked about the different types of pasta. That's don't ask for those. And then I guess the last thing, which I think we went over before in one of the other episodes we did together, but always try the local dishes wherever you are.
Yes.
Every restaurant also has, I'm sure in the north as well, like they have some sort of specialty. Like it might be named after the restaurant or
Yeah.
after the chef or whatever. I don't know. But always be open to trying something from that restaurant, from the region, the area, the town, because it's going to be something that you're never going to taste again. Because
I completely agree. I mean, before moving here, there were three things I had never had. And the
mm,
one was pizzoccheri.
mm,
And I mean, it looks like tagliatelle, but really short.
okay.
They're just
Yeah.
like these small pieces, and it's made with like a whole wheat flour, and they eat it with little potatoes and gorgonzola
Oh my gosh.
mixed in.
Wow.
It sounds amazing, and then you eat it, and you're just like, this is not for me.
No,
That's the experience I had because they don't really make a sauce with it. They just kind of throw
together.
the gorgonzola or the blue cheese
Mm,
together. So I think if it's made really well, it's probably really like a nostalgic feeling at home kind of dish.
Yeah.
And the other thing, it was polenta uncha.
What is
And
that?
polenta uncha
Uh-huh.
is so polenta.
Yeah, polenta.
They mix it up so it's a bit soft, and then they mix in a load of butter, like
Oh,
a shitload of butter
oh my gosh.
and a shitload of gorgonzola.
Oh my God,
And
gorgonzola
after
is
you,
like the staple, right?
it really is the staple.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, they had salami made from donkey.
Oh,
So when we arrived here, I noticed there was a lot of donkey farms. I'm like, a lot of donkeys for a farm to have. And then they're like, oh, we have the salami that's made with donkey. I'm like, that's
oh,
okay. I mean, I'm not going to be rude.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm going to give it a try.
Uh,
And honestly, it kind of tastes like the salami you get in South Africa
okay,
because I think it's smoked.
okay.
I think they smoke it. So it wasn't bad. It's just, it's not an animal you think of eating.
Yeah.
And it was, so you'll have moments like that where you're going to be tested
Hmm.
on
Yeah,
whether or not this is something you want to eat,
yeah.
like cornillo, rabbit,
Oh yeah, like
or
rabbit.
hare,
I remember that. And
right?
like cow tongue, I remember trying that. And
I don't like it, but a lot of
and
people do.
cow brains, which Stefano loves.
Yeah.
I've tried that. Octopus, not my favorite. Very hard to chew.
Uh,
But
I preferred it in Spain as well.
really? Oh, okay. That's good to know.
A lot softer.
Yeah, I didn't
And
like the one that I Stefano loved when we were in Puglia. We had the polpo insalata polpo, which is like cold
mhm,
octopus.
I
But
don't
I
like that
don't even
either.
know what I forget what else was in it with it. But I'm like, one, it's really hard to chew, and two, I just don't. I don't like it cold. I mean, I've had it hot and cold. Like I had it in a pasta, and then I've had it cold. And
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, like that's just not for me. Anyway, okay. So let's wrap up. So we talked about well, we didn't really talk about reservations, but like we said before, like if you're going to a Michelin star restaurant, you're definitely probably going to need a reservation. If you're
Yeah,
dining in peak dining hours, and maybe it is a restaurant that you've looked up on TripAdvisor or on their website that says they need reservations. And actually, after COVID, I feel like restaurants like reservations, but it's not always necessary. I think it depends. If it's a popular place, yes. If it's like a
agreed.
hole in the wall mom and pop shop, you probably don't need it. They probably don't even have a website, so don't even worry about it. But like, you don't have to worry about that. But yeah, other than that, I mean, we went over a lot of things. Anything last things that maybe we didn't touch on, Julia?
So something that's not particularly necessarily restaurant
Mm.
based, but when we were talking earlier about finding food at 11 a.m., something that it didn't really occur to me before, but another Italian creator, she was talking about how people can spot that you're a foreigner.
Uh,
And one of the things that she mentioned was the eating on the street
uh,
or sitting in a park and eating.
mm-hmm.
Italians don't do that. They
No.
sit at a table and eat.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna sit somewhere next to the river Arno,
Uh-huh.
take it in and have a sandwich, expect some Italians to stare at you.
Oh yeah. That's a good point.
Personally, I mean, I grew up half Italian. I don't care. If you're hungry, you eat where you want to eat,
Yeah.
like
We would eat in the park all the
honestly,
time.
I don't really care.
Yeah, we would eat in the park all the time
Exactly.
after teaching at the London school. I remember getting stuff from the
Yeah.
bakery. The bakery was the other thing I forgot to mention. Like instead of getting pizza, you can actually get really good focaccia pizza from a bakery, which is they're called forno. And
Oh
that I I remember that bakery, and I think I drove past it. It's still there. Remember the one we would go on?
my
That's
God.
like Via de Mille and the Via de Artisti, I think. No, Ponte Pino. Maybe? No, I can't remember.
Yes.
Anyway, but
Oh, is it Punta?
I think I can't
I
remember
don't remember the right names.
Ponte. I can't remember this. I was like getting so like nostalgic when we were driving around Florence this past September, and I'm just like, oh my God. Piazza Beccaria we went through like just all these different piazzas. I'm like, oh my God, like everything's coming back to me. Like, what did I do on this street? What did I do in this piazza? What did I do? Like, and but like, yeah, so Fornos, Piazza Taglio, Pizza Taglio, not Piazza Taglio, Pizza Taglio. What was the other ones? And like a bar cafe. That's where you can eat at 11.
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
yeah,
but
exactly. So
yeah, I mean, I think
just
we covered a lot today.
we did. So Also another thing, just one last thing on
Yeah.
the restaurants,
Sure.
and then I'll leave you because I don't want this to go super long as well. Also payment.
Uh,
So some places they will let you pay at the table, but for the most part they'll give you the bill
yeah,
and you're expected to go up to the counter to pay
that's a good point.
in a lot of places.
Mm-hmm.
So just if you're unsure, just say to the wait, where do I pay this? And then they'll show you. I
Yeah.
mean, no one's going to freak out, but
No,
for the most part, you probably don't want to just spend a lot of time waiting at the
no,
table for
they're
them
not
to
gonna
come
come
there with
and
a
take
card
it.
machine.
Yeah, for sure.
Like it's quite rare.
It is. And that, like, the place that we went to in September, Chiribe, which is like one of our favorite restaurants near our old home. Yeah, they have an actual cashier. Like when you walk in, there's like the pizza oven, the kitchen's in the back, and there's like a desk with the cash register. So it's always, I always feel like that we always have to go and pay. Like it's never at the table.
Hmm.
I don't remember. I don't think any of the places we've ever, no, any of the places we went this past September, we always walked up to the cash register and paid. Like that's just what you do. So that's a good point. I forgot all about paying. Like, please pay people. Like, I forgot all about
Yeah,
that.
just do it.
Yeah, just do it.
And if they're
And
taking
don't ask
exactly,
questions
if
about
they
the
take too
bill.
long,
Yeah.
yeah, no. Because if they're taking too long to bring you the bill, even if you've asked for it, just walk up to the counter and be like, I want to pay.
And that's what
And
we
then
did the
they might
last time. We met up with friends at a restaurant we've been to a million, like a ton of times. And this is how we do it with our friends. And I don't know, we probably have done this to each other, but like I just said to my friend Adriana, I'm like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, but I wanted to pay for our dinner.
and then you go
And then I
pay.
went to go pay. And they're like, what are you doing? Don't pay. Like, you're a guest here. I'm like, no. I'm like, you have a child. Like, we want to pay. Like, you guys paid last time. We're gonna pay this time. Whatever. So, but yeah. Anyway, but yeah, pain is important.
Uh,
All right. Well, let's end this
yeah,
amazing episode of Restaurant Tips. Thank you, Giulia, for being available on this
of
Saturday
course.
afternoon for you, Saturday morning for me. It's almost 10 a.m.
Oh,
I'm so excited to have you back on the podcast and hope to have you
me too.
again.
Yes. If there's anything you want to know about living in Italy, just
Yeah.
I'll let you know,
Yeah.
and then
I'll put
be happy
your,
to answer it.
yeah, I'll put your website and stuff, your links in the show notes and yeah, what we talked about a little bit as well. And yeah, allora, buongiorno, buonasera, buonanotte, wherever you are. And we'll see you on the next podcast. A presto.
Yeah, cool. Ciao.
Ciao. I am beyond grateful for you listening to my podcast right now. I am so excited to share my journey of living abroad and all of my stories of Florence and Italy and all the places in between that I've visited. If this has reached you in any way and you would like to continue, please subscribe now. Also, go check out my website, trulyitaly.tours, for all my travel experiences. Ci si vede. Ciao.